All right, so we've got a model, it's all textured and lit, and you want to render off a sequence. To do that on the render farm, there's a couple things you need to check in your Maya file. One is in render settings, so this thing right here, down to the Arnold Renderer tab under textures here. By default, this is usually on. And to render on the render farm, you're going to want to turn it off and use the existing TX textures. That's the first thing. And the second, you need to make sure your project is set and everything is working inside the project. So you can tell File, Project Window. And so this tells me that for me, for this particular project, it's in the O3 Peppermill directory in my classes, lighting and rendering, and it's got all these directories. And I can tell if I look in the Peppermill directory, this is my project, and I've got the usual folders here. I've got a scenes folder, an images folder, source images. So this is where my project is set. And I'm going to tell you one other way you can check. This is the most common problem people have with the render farm. When I look at these images that I have on there, if I look at the base color here, there it is. That looks great. Look at the image name here. So it's got this long, complicated name, but it starts with source images. And if I look at all my textures here, they all start with source images. Because all my textures, kind of the Maya default, is they go in the source images directory. Most of them I've got in a subdirectory under here. Right there, that's where they all are. But that's what you're kind of looking for to make sure this tells me that the project is set, and this is looking at the source images directory in the project. And just for an example, look what happens here. I'm going to bring up another folder. This is the D drive on my machine. It's not part of the project. And I've got this rust colored JPEG. And I'm going to just drag it in. So here it is. So look what this says. This says D:/Rust JPEG. So it's not really in my project because my project is way up on the Z drive and I've got some other folders in there. So we all do this. We drag things in without thinking about it. I do it too. But this is one of the things you have to go and check. And when I see this specific D drive, I've got to go back out, copy the Rust folder into my source images, and then relink it from there. So those are the two things. Let me get rid of this, get rid of this. Make sure it's not auto-converting your textures and that everything is set in your source images directory. This is everything in your file. Okay, next thing. This is Cube. And this is on the lab machines. So you're going to find it's got a couple of tabs here. Jobs, these are all the jobs that have been running in the past. And these are all the workers. These are the machines that are going to work on your job. So let's submit a new one here. So the way to submit a Maya file, submit a Maya job. There's lots of things listed here, but really the thing you're always going to use is Maya job. Give it a name. Doesn't matter what you call it. Priority, you leave alone. So instances, typically I'll put 100 there. You can't have any more than 100. So, but if no one else is using it, I want all 100. And the range of frames, 1 to 120. You'll notice if I hang my cursor over this, it kind of tells me how to do it. Whenever I'm putting stuff in here, I always turn on expert mode. And I think you should too. It gives you a lot of stuff you don't need, but a few more things that you do. So we'll finish the Maya part here. Scene file. everything you render has to be up on the server. If it isn't on the server, it can't render it. Binding classes, rendering, Peppermill. And so I'm going to say Peppermill render. That's the name of my file. So it wants your project directory, and this should match. Oops, sorry, wrong window. Your subproject window should match this. Lighting and rendering, Peppermill, O3 Peppermill. There we go. I've got this open twice. So almost always what I do is, rather than retype it or go find it, I just copy everything from here. Peppermill. I don't need that last slash. So that's the project. Everything else should be set in the file. Then render directory, like where am I going to put the files? I'm going to put it in the images folder. No backspace there. I'm going to turn on name, number, extension. And I think that's all the Maya stuff that I need. There's a few cube things to set, but give it 100. This is what you're going to want right here. 100, 100, 100. The frame range you want. The file, the project directory, and where you want to put the stuff. And I always put this on here too. So last thing you've got to do is down here in the cube worker section. So the workers are the machines that actually do the rendering. And you're going to say which machines, which hosts, or which groups do I want to use for this. And so for right now, for groups, it's got all the machines that we have in the building. These are the lab machines. And it's got, at the moment, we've got 3 sets of machines. These are the racks of machines in the back of 195. Mercy, Pain, and Sweat. I think we've got Tears will come online in a day or two. So these are the ones I'm going to choose. One last thing with this reservations. I want to use all the processors. And then I'm good to go. So you'll hit submit. And it generally takes it a little bit before you see anything happening. And there it is. It's showing up here as usingQube. It says it's running. And that seems good. I can go check now and see in that folder, in the images folder. So it's going to take it a minute before I start seeing things happen here. So while I'm waiting, oh, there's the first one. So these are going to start off as 0 bytes or just a small number of bytes. When the renderer finishes with that frame, it'll copy it into this name, and then you'll see all the bytes there. So this is it working. So that I feel good that that's working. Everything needs to be on the server when you do this. Your project, your textures, everything needs to be in that project folder up on the server. The render machines can't get to your local D drive or your local external drive. That's why everything needs to be on the server. Okay.